My name is Elena Cardone. My father was a member of the armed forces who served this country and fought in World War II. Because of this, I was raised with a profound respect and admiration for our military. For this reason, I want to address a great disservice being inflicted upon the men and women who have sacrificed so much to serve this country, our military and our veterans. According to the Navy Times, 1 in 6 American service members is on at least one mind-altering psychiatric drug, with many soldiers being prescribed deadly drug cocktail combinations. The concern for the psychiatric drugs being pushed on our military has sparked national concern, as reflected in the New York Times article, "Why Are We Drugging Our Soldiers?" Or the Military Times report, "Medicating the Military. Use of psychiatric drugs has spiked. Concerns surface about suicide, other dangers." Over the last 10 years, the U.S. government has spent more than $4.5 billion drugging our soldiers and our veterans. The drugs prescribed to them are documented by more than 49 drug regulatory agencies to cause suicide or suicidal ideation. Over 6 million U.S. veterans are being prescribed psychiatric drugs, and records reveal that 20 veterans commit suicide every day. As Lieutenant Colonel Bart Billings stated, "We have never drugged our troops to this extent, and the current increase in suicides is not a coincidence." In addition to causing suicide, psychiatric drugs carry an additional 27 international drug regulatory warnings of violence, mania, psychosis, and even homicidal ideation. Yet the effect of these mind-altering drugs on our military has never been fully investigated by the government. Take the case of Army Specialist Ivan Lopez, who had been prescribed a cocktail of psychiatric drugs when he opened fire at the Fort Hood military base, killing 3 people and wounding 16 others before committing suicide. Or U.S. Navy reservist Aaron Alexis, who had been prescribed psychiatric drugs by the Veteran Administration Hospital prior to opening fire at the Washington Navy Yard, killing 12 and wounding 8 others. Or former Marine Gavin Long, also on a cocktail of psychiatric drugs, who killed 3 law enforcement officers and wounded 3 others before being shot dead by a SWAT team officer. And it's not just our military and veterans that may be acting under the influence of these psychiatric drugs. 36 school shootings or school-related acts of violence and an additional 31 mass killings were committed by those under the influence of or withdrawing from prescribed psychotropic drugs. This has resulted in 390 dead and 374 wounded. Using guns, knives, swords, and even a plane to commit these acts, all were under the influence of prescribed mind-altering drugs. And these are only the cases where the perpetrator's psychiatric drug usage has been made a matter of public record. More often than not, this information is not released to the general public, and no government agency is requiring this information to be disclosed or acted upon. With millions of Americans being prescribed these drugs, clearly not everyone will experience their violent or suicide-inducing side effects. But with 27 drug regulatory agency warnings of violence and 49 warnings of suicide, clearly a percentage of them will. And no one knows who will be next. This is the game of Russian roulette being played upon the men and women of our armed forces, of our veterans, our society, and our children. Let's open a federal investigation to investigate the link between psychiatric drugs and the random acts of senseless violence. Please sign the petition below and let's get this issue before Congress.